Alright, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How are you doing today? I am Is There No One Else. Doing this video for the second time today. For whatever reason, my computer's having FPS issues, even though I got nothing running. So the last video was kind of laggy. This video is going to cover the Necromancer. I'm going to go through all the skills and passives and morphs in this so that you guys can kind of see a first-hand look. Before we do that, I kind of wanted to show what gear I'm running, just so you guys can see, because I like to see tooltip values for what and how effective things are. That's why I threw together a build. So nothing special, but 5-piece brigands on the front bar, master's bow back bar, 2 blood spawn, 5 fury on the body, all impen, all stam. Our stats look like this, unbuffed, just so you guys can kind of get an idea. 3200 weapon damage, 1367 recovery, 38k stam. We are an orc. We are running the weapon damage Mundus. So let's dive into the skills, fellas. First one, we have Frozen Colossus, which is the ultimate. Unleash a frostbitten flesh colossus to pulverize enemies in the area. The colossus smashes the ground 3 times over 3 seconds, dealing 10,000 frost damage with each smash. Each smash applies major vulnerability to any enemy hit for 3 seconds, increasing their damage taken by 30%. As far as I know, this is the only way to get major vulnerability. This is going to have a very nice synergy in group play because it's an AoE ultimate. And so if you hit this before your other group members hit their Dawnbreakers or their Destrolts or whatever, everybody in that area is going to take 30% more damage. So the morphs that we have Pestilent Colossus, which deals disease damage. Unleash a Pestilent Flesh Colossus. Oh my gosh. To pulverize enemies in the area. The Colossus smashes the ground 3 times over 3 seconds, dealing 11,000, 12,000, and 13,000 damage. So it does a lot of damage in and of itself. That's a lot of damage for an AoE, and each smash applies major vulnerability for 3 seconds. So we'll use this one. The other one, you have a stun at the end. So the glacial one does frost damage, and then it stuns at the end instead of doing increased damage. But since we're stamina, we'll pop the pestilent one. So when you activate it, it's an AoE that's pretty big that you can cast at range. Pretty decent amount away. So when you cast this big ass guy comes out and he starts just smashing. So it's a quick ultimate, but you get major vulnerability for that 3 seconds. Or major, is it major vulnerability? Yes. So not only does it do good damage, but this is going to be a really good group play ultimate, in my opinion, just for that reason. Our spammable is Flame Skull. Lob an explosive skull at an enemy that deals 3,000 flame damage. We have a Stamina and Magicka morph. The Stamina morph turns to poison, and casting any Necromancer ability counts towards the 3rd cast. So the 3rd cast does 20% more damage, so it's currently tool-tipped without around 9k fully buffed, 10k with my bow. So 20% more damage. We can get 12k tooltip with this. The other morph is the Magicka one. So this is what it looks like. Kind of a slow little skill. And then the 3rd one, so you can see that you hit harder, you throw with both hands. So you got, if you see that there, first cast is like that, second one's with one hand, the 3rd cast is with both hands, and it's a slightly bigger skull. So that's a spammable. Next one is Blast Bones. Summon a flaming skeleton from the ground after 2.5 seconds. The skeleton runs after the target and explodes when it gets close to them, dealing 5,095 flame damage to all enemies nearby. We have Blighted Blast Bones, which converts to a stamina ability. And it does disease damage. So you can see it does 15,000 disease damage to all enemies and applying major defile to them for 4 seconds. So it does good damage and it's defile. And it creates a corpse on death. The Magicka version. It deals more damage the longer it chases the target. So if you're at range, you can do up to 50% more damage. We'll have to pull out a Magicka Necromancer to see what this tooltip goes up to and see what the damage is. But we'll attack the blighted ones. Here's the animation. Here's what it looks like. So you summon it from the ground. It gets up, and then it jumps at the target. So it's actually a pretty quick... I mean, it is a summon, but I mean, it goes at the target pretty quickly. They have a chance to block and react to it and everything, so I would definitely block it because it's pretty nasty, or dodge roll it or whatever. But yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot of damage plus defile. Going to be a staple for Necromancers, I think. And we have Boneyard. Desecrate the ground at the target location, dealing 9,834 frost damage over 10 seconds. Consumes a corpse on cast to deal 20% more damage. An ally standing in the graveyard can activate Grave Robber. Alright. Reduce the resistance of enemies in the area. So this one gives you Major Fracture. If you consume a corpse on cast, it'll do 20% more damage. And then the other one, you can use your own synergy. So we'll use the one that has Major Fracture. So this is what it looks like. And now I have the ground-based AoEs so that you guys can see what the AoE looks like how big of a circle it is. Pretty decent sized circle. You cast it. So that does the frost damage over time. And then if you summon a corpse in the area, like I said, it will do 20% more damage if it consumes a corpse. So if we do our Blast Bones, and he jumps after and he drops a corpse, and we do this, it will do more damage because it should be consuming the Skull Synergy. Or the Corpse Synergy, sorry. Skeletal Mage. Unearth a Skeletal Mage from the dirt to fight by your side for 16 seconds. The mage attacks the closest enemy every 2 seconds, dealing shock damage. You have a Stamina Morph that does physical damage, and you have a magical one that does shock damage. So you can get the minor vulnerability this way. We'll do the Stamina Morph. It does more damage, with each attack. So it starts at 2760, and then it does 10% more damage than the previous attack. So 2760, 8 ticks, so the next tick will be 3000, the one after that will be 3300. So it should go up to roughly 4 to 5k total damage for this. So we'll use this really quick. Skeletal Archer is... So as you guys can see, when you summon it, it summons to your side. When you attack something, it will then proceed to attack as well. And when it dies, it puts a corpse on the ground, which will be a nice synergy for you for other skills. So, pretty cool animation. Not a ton of damage, but keep in mind, guys, it is passive damage. Like, you pop that once, it's now up fighting with you for 16 seconds, and you're doing other things. And so, it moves with you, which is kind of cool. And yeah, then it drops on the ground, and then you'll be able to do other stuff with it with other skills to be named later. Shocking Siphon. Violently drain the last spark of life from a corpse, dealing 9,036 shock damage over 12 seconds to all enemies and the corpse between you and the corpse. So you can do shock damage here. While slotted, your damage done is increased by 3%. So you have Detonating Siphon. So this one does disease damage. So Stamina Morph does 24,000 disease damage over 12 seconds, which is quite a bit. I mean, it's a long dot, but it's still a pretty decent dot. The Siphon lasts its full duration. It causes the corpse to explode, dealing an additional 64/24 disease damage to all enemies around the corpse. So Mystic Siphon, you restore magical while siphoning the corpse. We'll do that for another time. We will equip this on our bar. So what we're going to do is the Blast Bones drops a skeleton. And then while it's on the ground, we can hit this. And so this is going to do disease damage to everybody in that circle and anybody that's between the circle and this line. And so as you guys can see, the line gets pretty big. And so it has quite a bit of a range. So if we summon our Blast Bones again, we activate our synergy, we actually can do a decent amount of dot damage to anybody that's in between that. Pretty interesting skill. And if it lasts the whole time, like I said, I mean, it's 28 meters. Like, I'd have a hard time figuring out a time where you couldn't get this to blow up to do 6790. While slotted, your damage done is increased by 3%. So a nice passive there as well. Interesting skill. Not a ton of dot damage, but I'm sure it'll add up. I mean, you're doing burst damage, then you have more dot damage with it. The passives. When an enemy dies within 4 seconds of being damaged by one of your Necromancer abilities, your next Blast Bone, Skeletal Mage, or Spirit Meter cast is free. So a good way to sustain. Increase your critical strike chance against enemies under 25% health by 10% for each Gravelord ability slotted. 50% on our front bar right now. While the Grave Lord ability is active, your physical and spell penetration are increased by 1500, more damage. Increase your damage done with damage over time effects by 10%. So pretty good passives overall. The next one, Bone Goliath Transformation. This one is ridiculous. Like, I didn't think this was going to be as good as it was, but I'll show you why I think this is actually very powerful. It's 250 ultimate, so it's expensive. Become a horrific Bone Goliath, increasing your max health by 30,000 for 20 seconds and immediately restoring 30,000 health. While transformed, your light attacks restore 503 health and your fully charged heavy attacks restore 1259 health. This ability scales off your max health, so it'll do more damage when you go into your transformation. You can do Pummeling Goliath, which gives you an AoE bash attack, or you can do Ravenous Goliath that gains an aura that drains nearby enemies of their health. So your heavy attacks deal 1259 health, restore 1259 health. You deal 1349 damage to nearby enemies every second and heal for that amount. These abilities scale off your max health. So it looks like there's no cooldown. So if you're fighting a bunch of people, it doesn't say that they just... So if you're like fighting severely outnumbered and you proc this, I don't see how you die. Because you have so much health, you're going to have high resistances, and like you just heal while you're doing it. On top of that, the other interesting synergy to this, guys, I have to build my ultimate to show you, but you can use your skills on your bar when you go into this ultimate. So I kind of thought it was going to be like Werewolf, you know, or Overload, like where it was going to have its own skill set where, like, you know, you activate, but you can only like light attack, or you have your own set of skills that, you know, a Bone Goliath would have. No, when you are this Goliath, you can use everything on that bar. So if you have a heal on that bar, you can pop a heal, and I'll show you all this. So we'll just build our ultimate really quick. And it is expensive. It's 250 ultimate, but it's 250 ultimate to essentially not die while dishing out a shit ton of damage. So it's interesting. Plus, it's fucking cool as hell. I mean, you go into a Bone Goliath, you know? Alright, so we transform. Now you can see I can use Rally. I can summon my Blast Bones. I can spam my fucking Skulls. I can summon my Archer. I can do everything on this bar. I can switch to my back bar. I can pop Vigor, and it lasts for 20 seconds. Like, I think it's kind of ridiculous, to be honest. You know, you're going to be so tanky, and you can do all that stuff. I think that's really cool. Yeah. Next one. Death Scythe. Slice into your enemy's life force, dealing 25-46 magic damage and healing for 33-45 for the first enemy hit. The heal grows in power by 11-15 for each additional enemy hit. We'll do the Stamina Morph, converts to a stamina ability and prevents healing done to your target. The other one, you gain a heal over time. So, slice into your enemy's life force, dealing 6903 physical damage. Each damage you receive. Enemies damaged by you receive 2000 heal absorption for 2 seconds, negating healing they receive. So it's a way to defile their health. You heal for 33-45 for the first enemy hit, and an additional 11-15 for each additional enemy up to 5 times. So this can be up to an 8k heal if you hit everybody. If we activate it on our bar, it essentially looks like the two-handed cleave. So they have 2000 health absorption. It does decent damage. And on top of that, it heals you. So I could definitely see this coinciding with like Brawler or Cleave. So you use this and you get the health absorption with good damage, and then you use Brawler for the shield, or you use the Carve for the bleed dot. You know, it's a pretty big AoE in front of you. So it's an interesting skill. It looks kind of expensive. 3,176. I mean, it does good damage. I mean, fully buffed before Fury procs. I mean, we're at 8210 for an AoE cone. So Fury procced, was that 10k roughly? 10k, not bad. I mean that's pretty good. It's pretty good for AoE. Plus you get the heal absorption on top of it and the heal. All right, next one is Bone Armor. This is our major resolve and major ward. It creates corpse when the effect completes. We have Beckoning Armor that pulls in ranged enemies, and then we have Summoner's Armor, which reduces the cost of your Necromancer summon abilities. While active, reduce the cost of Blast Bone, Skeleton Mage, and Spirit Mender by 12%. 12% is a lot, guys. So all these reduced costs can stack, which makes it a very interesting option. I think this is good. I honestly think they're both good. Like pulling in ranged enemies, like I love fucking with snipers. I really do. I think that's great. So I could see utility with this, you know, being able to pull them in. But 12% reduced cost for your spammables is... that could be too much. You know, that could be just what you want to do. It also creates corpse when the effect completes, so we'll just equip it real quick. So as you guys can see, you get this kind of cool orb around your body. When it ends, it drops corpse on the ground that you can then also synergize with your other skills. So yeah, so our Major Resolve and Major Ward is now up. Bitter Harvest, sap lingering life from fresh corpses, granting you 2 ultimate. So as you can see, it puts corpse on the ground, which we can then synergize. Granting you 2 ultimate and healing you 935 every 1 second for 2 seconds per corpse consumed. This ability scales off your max health, while slotted your damage taken is reduced by 3%. So this is a damage mitigation skill. So we have Dead in Pain, which gains major protection for those 2 seconds. We also have Necrotic Potency, which gains more ultimate per corpse. So you can use either one. But we are going to put this on our bar. We're going to summon our little Blast Bones. Oh, we don't have our Blast Bones on because we took him off. He's going to attack. We're going to drop a corpse. Alright, so as I was saying, before I got disconnected there, we're going to drop a corpse, and then we're going to use this Necrotic Potency, which will give you 941 health every second, which turns into, you know, 2,000 health over 2 seconds, and it reduces your damage by 3%. It should be Ultigen as well. So we drop that on the ground, summon that, and it's our little... Yep, so you can see we generate some ultimate off of the 1 corpse. The more corpses we use, the more corpses that are on the ground, the more this is going to work. So it's a small heal. Damage reduction is also nice. And then the other one gives you major protection for that little bit of time. It's going to be... I don't know how much I would use this in open world PvP, but in the sewers, I could see this being pretty effective. You know, since there's ads everywhere that are dying, like I could see this being quite useful. Bone Totem. Place a totem of bone at your feet that gives minor protection to you and your allies for 8 seconds, reducing your damage taken by 8%. So an AoE radius damage reduction. The morphs are... Totem can be summoned up to 28 meters away. Allies can activate a synergy to damage and apply minor vulnerability. So yeah. Allies can activate Pure Agony, causing enemies to take 6,930 magic damage over 5 seconds and applying minor vulnerability to them for the duration, increasing their damage taken by 8%. So another way to get minor vulnerability. The skill looks like this. So it's a pretty big cone. You know, you get the 8% damage mitigation while you and your group are in here. And if you activate the synergy while they're in here, you get the minor vulnerability. So I think it's a very good group buff. I think that's going to be very useful. Grave Grasp. Summon 3 patches of skeletal claws from the ground in front of you, snaring your enemies by 50% for 5 seconds and inflicting minor maim for 5 seconds, reducing their damage done by 15%. So Ghostly Embrace can immobilize 1 enemy. Empowering Grasp empowers allies. So you get this minor maim, you get 50% snare. Hitting you or allies grants them empower for 5 seconds, increasing the damage of their next light attack by 40%. Hitting your Skeletal Mage or Spirit Mender enhances them for 5 seconds, increasing their effectiveness by 40%. Alright. So Empowering Grasp kind of looks like Subterranean Assault. So you get these ground things of skulls that just go out and attack. It's a Magicka-based ability. There's no Stamina Morph for this. So it is an AoE control style ability since it's a 50% snare. We'll have to see what the tooltip goes up to for Magicka abilities, but for the damage. But yeah, we did the one that did Empower for your group. It's cool. It's not bad. The other skills are a lot better. Now we have Reanimate, bring your allies back to the brink of death, resurrecting up to 3 allies at the current location. And then we have Animate Blast Bones. So, bring your allies back from the brink of death, resurrecting up to 3 allies at the target location. You restore 5,000 magic and stamina for each ally you resurrect. So this is going to be a good group play one. This other one, Animate Blast Bones. You can consume other corpses in the area and summon Blast Bones. So you bring your allies back, resurrecting up to 3 allies, and then you consume up to 3 other corpses in the area and summon a Blast Bones for each corpse consumed. This has very nasty burst potential. So the Blast Bones is this one that does the 14,000 disease damage. And so we're going to make sure we have enough corpses that we put on the ground. So what we're going to do, I'll show you guys. We're going to buff up with our Major Resolve and our Major Ward. We're going to put our Archer down. We're going to attack this guy. And when they're about ready to die, we're going to summon our Blast Bones. And that should put 3 corpses on the ground. And then when we activate our ultimate, it will summon Blast Bones off all 3 of those corpses, which will then explode. So we want to make sure we have corpses that we can put down. And so this is a really interesting ultimate to me because it has a very powerful synergy. And I think that's the name of the game right now with Necromancer. Like, it has a bunch of stuff that, if played very well, could be highly, highly effective for fighting people solo or in a group or whatever. Tanking, healing. Like, I can see a lot of utility with this class, but it's not a one-button class. You know, you have to do a bunch of... So far, it looks like you have to do a bunch of things in order to get it. So, like I said, we're going to buff up. We're going to summon our Blast Bones. He's going to drop on the ground. All of our corpses on the ground. We're going to activate our ultimate, which will then summon these 3 Blast Bones that all blow up and hit this guy. And then we can activate the synergy off of them to use this other skill. So I think this ultimate is going to be very, very effective, guys, because, yeah, we're going to have this. And, yeah, this is going to stop you from spamming skills. So if you look at it, you have 20 seconds on your armor. You have 16 seconds on your archer. So you have a long time for those two. But you can do your normal spammables here. And look, we already got 2 on the ground. And then now we have 3 on the ground. And then when we activate our ultimate, it's going to be more burst. So it not only resurrects 3 people, but it's going to do 45,000 damage to 1 person. So yeah, very, very effective. So if you can get a dizzy in there, like you summon it, or maybe you get a dizzy, or you get a reverb and you get the stun off so it all hits them, like, you're going to melt somebody with this. And it's 185 ultimate. It's not super expensive. I mean, it is expensive, but I mean, to do that much damage, it's worth it. Render flesh. Sacrifice your own power to repair damaged flesh. Okay, so these are the healing ones. Oh, I didn't go through the... I'm sorry, I didn't go through the passives here. So we have Death Gleaning. Whenever an enemy you are in combat with dies within 28 meters of you, restore 100 magic and stamina. This effect can occur once every 2 seconds. So it turns out to 100 recovery of each if somebody's dying. Really going to be really good in the sewers once again. Reduce the damage you take from damage over time abilities by 10% while you have a Bone Tyrant ability active. So as long as we have our armor up, we're going to take 10% less dot damage. Increase your healing received by 2% for each damage a Bone Tyrant ability slotted. Once again, our Major Ward and Resolve will do that. And then increase your max health by 2,000. So really good tanky passives. We did Animate Blast Bones, Render Flesh. These are both Magicomorphs, so we're not going to see what the tooltips are. The first one grants resistances, and the next one consumes a corpse to heal a second target. So, sacrifice your own power to repair damaged flesh, healing you or an ally in front of you for 44 55 health, but applying minor to file to you for 4 seconds, reducing your healing received and health recovery. Consumes a corpse near when cast to heal a second target. So, we're going to summon our Blast Bones to drop our corpse. We're going to activate this. And so it'll drop our health to heal somebody else. And we're now defiled on top of it. So it's interesting, but I only see it as really like a healing ability. Like I don't see how most builds are going to be able to use it, because it is also expensive, 4,300 magicka. Expunge costs health. Embrace the power of death, removing up to 2 negative effects from yourself. So this is the Necromancer Purge. The one morph, it restores magic and stamina for each negative effect removed. While slotted, the cost of all your abilities are reduced by 3%, so they have cost reduction again built in, which is pretty nice. So yeah, 2 negative effects, so you can get 1,000 stamina and magicka. It costs health. The other one increases the amount of negative effects removed. I would probably go with that one. But yeah, I don't see a big... I mean, that's up to you, obviously. We have Life Amid Death. Release residual fragments of fallen souls at the target location, healing you and your allies for 2968 health. Consumes a corpse on cast to continue to heal you and your allies in the area for 2870 health over 5 seconds. So like I said, we're not seeing the tooltips here. I'm going to have to put a healer build together just so we can try this stuff out. That'll probably be for another video. But yeah, so we got the morph that consumes a corpse, also removes negative effects. And then we have can consume multiple corpses to increase the duration of the heal over time. All right. So yeah, we'll have to see how potent those things are. I don't know right now, guys, because yeah, we're on a stamina build. We have Spirit Mender. Conjure a ghostly spirit to do your bidding and stay by your side for 16 seconds. The spirit heals you or the lowest health ally around you every 2 seconds, restoring 1,000 health. So like I said, this tooltip will go higher, and it's, you know, an on-demand kind of healer buddy. Some of the damage you take is transferred to the spirit instead. So this morph, while active, 10% of the damage you take is transferred to the spirit. So it's almost like you're guarded. So that's kind of interesting. And then you have Intensive Mender. The spirit heals for 3 times the amount, but half as long. So it's more bursty. We'll pull out the Spirit Guardian and just kind of show you what it is. So you summon it, and now it'll give us a heal when I drop to lower health. And on top of that, it'll give me 10% damage mitigation, which is kind of useful. Like 10% is quite a bit. I could see this being very useful, obviously, for magicka builds, like light armor builds. 10% damage mitigation. Going to the spirit as a utility, making our shields a little bit more tanky. I could see that being pretty good. Obviously useful for stam as well. I mean, being tanky is never a bad thing. Restoring Tether. Siphon the last remnants of life from a corpse. Healing for 7956 health over 12 seconds to yourself and all allies between you and the corpse. While slotted, your healing done is increased by 3%. Braided Tether also heals allies in a radius around you. So yeah, the tooltip's not right. You restore stamina while siphoning the corpse is the other morph. 2736 stamina over 12 seconds while siphoning the corpse. Not a ton of stamina. What's that, 500? 400-ish recovery, roughly. So it's not bad. I mean, 400 recovery adds up, obviously. So I'm going to do our Blast Bones once again because he's our trusty corpse dropper. And while we do that, we get a tether once again. And so what the tether does, like I said, it heals for 8,000 health over 12 seconds to yourself and all allies between you and the corpse. And you increase your healing done. So since this operates at range, you can actually do a pretty quick cast. So as long as you're in between these people, you get a decent heal over time. So the healing is a very interesting synergy. A lot of them rely off of you being tanky so that you can use your health or being able to defile yourself. But you know, you have damage mitigation. You have the heals are interesting. So a Necro healer is definitely something I'm going to have to look into. But I'm just not going to do that right now. While you have a negative effect on you, your healing done is increased by 8%. So you're always going to have a negative effect, especially if you're doing it to yourself. So you can provide minor defile to yourself, and then you can increase your healing done. So yeah, 15% less healing, but you get 8% more. So it's only 7% to yourself, 8% to everybody else. That's interesting. While you have a Living Death ability slotted, your critical strike chance with all healing abilities increased by up to 20% in proportion to the severity of the target's wounds. So you get burstier heals. When you use an ability on a corpse, you generate 10 ultimate. This effect can occur once every 16 seconds. So if we see what we got here, so we generate 10 ultimate by siphoning him. While you have a Necromancer summon active, your magic and stamina recovery is increased by 300. Necromancer summon. So a summon would be like this little dude that, oh, sorry, your Spirit Guardian. He would count. So if we look at our tooltip here, just so you guys can see, we have 514 magic recovery, 1367 stamina recovery. If we drop our summon, we jump up to 814 and 1718. Our archer should also count, but I'll double check. So whether you go with the damage or the support or both, it's another way to add recovery. So he dies. Yes, so we also get that recovery with the skeleton morph as well. So very, very interesting class, guys. Like, looking at it right now, I wrote it in my post on my YouTube channel. I've really consider this kind of close to like what the Sork does. There are a lot of skills that do very high damage, you know, and I've heard some of these are broken right now. So we got 15,000 tooltip on Blighted Blast Bones. The radius is 6 meters. I heard that the radius is broken at the moment, and you get Major Defile. So this is very powerful. Your Venom Skull actually does pretty good damage, like I said. Fully buffed. I mean, 10,000 right there, 20% harder. So we're going to do 12,000 damage on the third cast. So you get this nice synergy where literally you can summon. So you drop your skull, you drop your skeleton, and then you can do this, and then you can do your Blast Bones, and you have this nice synergy where when you activate all these things, your Blast Bones can, since it's your third cast, you can do 20% more damage. So you can kind of synergize it. So you do here, here, here. And yeah, you wait a little bit on the skull so that you can get this to go off at the same time. And so that's how you're going to get your burst. So you have 10,000 plus this 15,000. So that's a lot of burst damage. On top of that, you can apply Major Fracture to those in the area. So if you're fighting like on a flag or something, you can do something like that. So that summons 3. So that you see how the first cast was this AoE ground thing, that's Major Fracture. My Blast Bones is 2. And then my Skull is 3. So yeah, so very interesting stuff. And then obviously you have all these kind of cool things functioning off of your corpses you put on the ground, whether it's your ultimate or other things. So you can use the corpses to heal, you can use corpses to do damage. Really interesting stuff. And so what I see here when I'm looking at this, my initial thoughts are it has a very high skill cap. So if you want to sit here and you want to just fucking spam like Blast Bones and Skulls at people, and that's what you want to do, like, you're going to do some damage. Like, this is going to do some stuff, but it's not so much damage that it's going to just completely fucking melt people, you know? But if you can get your synergies down, and you can time this stuff, and you can get your buffs up, and you can just kind of get all this stuff to go off at the same time, I could see this being very, very effective. So then all of a sudden, all these things die. When they die, we can then use this ultimate to do even more damage, summon this Blast Bones with these skulls. Yeah, so I can definitely see the synergies. Like, there's going to be some very powerful combinations with Necromancer, and people that aren't ready for it could easily get melted, but you're going to have to know how to sync up your combos. So that's why I'm comparing it to Sork. Like, Sork, when you initially play it, like, you have to know how to put your shields on, you have to know how to hit your Curse, Frag, Mage's Wrath, or whatever combination with your ultimate. But once you get it down, like, you actually, like, Sork is one of the strongest 1vx classes in the game for that reason, because it has a high skill cap. I think Necromancer's the same way, looking at it right now. Like, you're going to do some damage doing, like, just spamming shit. but you're going to be just devastating when you figure out how to coincide it all together. So it's going to take some time, obviously, but once you get it down, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's really cool seeing what the synergies are. I mean, I think they did a really good job making this its own thing. You know, it's not like Sork, it's not like Warden. You know, it's its own thing. And I really like that they did that. I think they did a great job with this, and I can't stop raving, I guess, about what the patch notes look like and what this class looks like. You know, I think it looks pretty damn effective. So hopefully tomorrow I can get streaming on Twitch for you guys, so we can run through some stuff and, like, you know, test some shit out. We'll see how it goes. Make sure my PC doesn't disconnect again. But that's the end of this video. If you guys want to see anything specific about the Necromancer, please comment in the section below, because I'm going to look at the healer aspect. I'm going to look at sword and board builds, dual wield builds, all that. I'm looking at it for the first time myself. So if you want to see something specific, please comment, and then I'll make sure to touch on that first. So thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.